Hi, I'm Ben. I'm a producer here at Somersault. I'm part of a core group of creatives working alongside our business development team and our wider Somersault team. As part of the creative team, I oversee the production of filmed content, animation, and live content for a wide range of industry-leading clients. In this video, I'll be discussing my role as a producer at Somersault, how I got here, the types of projects I've worked on, and what it is exactly that I do. So we'll start with that. My work here at Somersault is as a shooter-producer, which is something I really enjoy, but it can be different from other agencies. A lot of producers can be also quite hands-off when it comes to things like camera work and lighting, although they will oversee these elements on shoot days. As someone who has grown in this industry with a camera in hand pretty much every step of the way, it's not something that I'd want to put down unless I really need to. Taking a quick glance at the typical producer role, they'll generally oversee the entire production. This will be from any initial conversations about the project through to delivery and completion of the final product. This covers things like creative proposals and ideation, storyboards and scripts, location hunting, recce's, requirements for crew and equipment, all the way through to the actual interviews on set and making sure that everything required is being captured, to overseeing the edit and handling the final delivery. On some projects or in some lines of producer work, this also includes securing and managing the budget too. During the lifespan of a single project, this can be a pretty full-on task. But it's not all paperwork. In fact, being a producer both here at Somersault and in previous places has afforded me the luxury of visiting a lot of different countries, as well as meeting and working alongside a lot of inspirational individuals. Within the space of a few months, I had led productions in places like China, Portugal, Slovenia, Austria, and even Maidenhead. With the larger projects that are further afield, we often lean on crew local to the destinations, such as cam ops, sound engineers, and fixers. This can really ease a lot of the complexities of shooting in an unfamiliar location and also help with the translations too. Local crew will also have a better understanding of local laws and restrictions when it comes to where and when you can't film, and they'll also be able to help us acquire relevant permits and even equipment when we're there. Finding and hiring this crew is usually completely scalable too, from a single person for a day through to a full production crew for several days or even weeks. As a producer, when working with external crew, your role really is to maintain the consistency in the project, making sure that the production keeps on track and that you're able to capture on set exactly what it is you need to deliver the final project. Finding the right crew is another element of my role. For example, with the shoot in China, myself and one of our project execs searched for the right crew for the project. This didn't just mean people who are capable of doing the roles that we're looking for, but people who are going to be easy to work alongside and will bring that expertise needed for the project. For this project, it involved several phone, Skype, Zoom, WeChat calls with different individuals and different teams, well ahead of even booking the flights. And getting the right crew was invaluable, as the team we worked with were able to offer a lot more expertise and help than initially anticipated, even outside of the times that we were filming. Things like additional transportation requirements for me to get around Shanghai, and some last-minute kit updates, as well as the initial sourcing of the kit we required in the first place. At this point, it's probably worth me mentioning how I got into the position I'm in today. The main reason I am where I am is down to taking up almost every opportunity that I could, making and engaging with contacts, and persevering with my path in a creative industry. I studied media at college, and during this time, I approached my local BBC. I ended up working on their weekly sports programme. Part runner, part editor, part technical. Everything from making tea to producing pre-recorded program pieces. I was there for a few years on a part-time basis, picking up many extra bits of work here and there, supporting things like their online team or even their events team. During this time I had a few regular jobs and managed to get into a different TV studio where I worked representing the studio for larger touring productions. For example, the Frank Skinner Show. That was my first bigger gig, and I was there to head up finding and hiring the supporting crew and to manage the studio logistics throughout. During my time at the studio, I got to work alongside and learn from some talented producers, directors, and camera operators. For me, this time of my career was a real pivotal moment and gave me some clarity of the direction I wanted to head in. After being at the studio for a couple of years, I moved on to head up media production at a small company that managed a few high street brands. This slightly strayed away from my video-only path, but still allowed me to learn new practices while staying creative. Up until the end of my time there, I had also taken various short-term roles in productions, doing things like set photographer, camera operator, runner, and AC. which is pretty much how I ended up getting into my previous role at a well-known photographic retailer. Initially, I started by covering their social media channels. This soon progressed to producing and shooting reviews, technical videos, events, and real-world tests for their YouTube and online audience. And after being at WEX for several years, producing content all over the world, I made my move to Cambridge, working at Somersault, with an incredible group of individuals, getting to experience different cultures and working on some great briefs for some really inspiring clients. In terms of experience, it really is just trying to get involved in as many aspects of a production as possible. Having an understanding of different areas and what's required will really help you become a better producer. If you don't have those opportunities opening up to you, then create your own. Doing things like producing and working on your own passion project, where you take more of a considered approach, will really help you. Take yourself as a producer through the entire process, finding a subject to work with in your local community, doing all the pre-production work, finding others to work with, be that camera operators, sound engineers, or editors. You should easily be able to find these people in similar situations to yours, wanting to learn more about the industry, but not necessarily having the opportunities to. You can work together to create something that you can learn from, and something that you can use, for example, in a reel or for self-promotion. If you want to make things a little easier on the project side, there are a few things that have really helped me along the way. Some of them I've picked up myself through a little research, and some I've picked up from other producers, DOPs, sound ops, and other crew that I've worked with. First up is planning and organisation. As a producer, you'll be doing a lot of creation and wrangling of documents, such as scripts, storyboards, shot lists, creative briefs, risk assessments, call sheets, the list goes on. And keeping everything organised is the absolute key to being a great producer, and being able to deliver a really great piece of content that all parties are pleased with and hits the mark on the brief. For this, it's worth exploring and investing some time in some sort of project management, either app or software. There are loads out there to choose from, such as Asana, Productive, Monday, etc. But you just need to find the one that really works well for you and the team that you're working with. If you're already in a company or agency that has one implemented, make sure it does what you need it to do, and figure out the ins and outs of how to make it work harder for you. Things like links to documents, project milestone tracking, itemized checkboxes, anything in that lot that will keep you and the project on schedule and on time. Even just having a central place where all of your documents, conversations, links to media or downloads sit, so you don't have to sift through different sites to collate your project. Oh, and for me, it has to have both an app for my phone and tablet. When I'm on set, I don't want to have to go through various browsers to find something. The necessity and importance of these kinds of programs and apps increase exponentially the larger each project becomes and the more projects that you're working on at one time. I could be working on anything from 5 to 15 projects at any given time, all in different stages, from the initial proposals through to final edits, and working with different projects and clients by using the project management software just helps me keep track of everything. So make sure you get one that is right for you and that you use efficiently. These massively help with pre-production and planning side of a project too, and spending a few extra hours or even a day or two more on the pre-production can save you a lot of time on set and in the edit. And those two elements of a production are normally where a vast majority of a budget can get eaten up, especially with poor project management. That's the main big part covered, and other than that, there are a few tools out there that just make a producer's life a little easier and more enjoyable. First up is having a tablet. I use it for taking notes in meetings or calls with clients. I use it for my project management app. I write scripts, draw things out for storyboards, doodle set designs, and have my questions on there for any interviews that I need to make. I also have a few apps on there and on my phone as well. One app I use on every shoot is Cadridge. I mostly use it in one or two situations. During the pre-production, if I'm able to recce a location, this app allows me to document the shooting space fully, adding images into a project and sharing that project with the rest of the team. With the image taking side of things, you can input your camera shooting format, the model, and a selection of lenses to give you an overlay of the focal lengths, again helping you plan out your shots way before any crew member even arrives on set. My other use is when I'm not able to do a recce on location. I can arrive on set, open the app, and get my framing with the required lens without having to move the camera from one spot to another and to another. With the app, I can see what framing works for the space, giving me a rough camera location and height. Then it's just a case of bringing in the camera and making some final minor adjustments. On a recce or on a shoot day, ahead of setting up, I'll also use Solar Watch. This gives me the sun's location on any given date or any given time, and this is done through augmented reality. This function gives you a much clearer idea of where the sun will be. The app also has a sunrise and sunset times, and info based on your exact location, and ambient light based on what's surrounding you geographically. All this helps as you don't want to have planned out your perfect shots for your day, only to realise that halfway through your interviews, the sun is streaming in and you have no way of controlling it. This at least allows you to prepare for the worst or brightest situation. Then you can either adjust the framing or camera position, or bring the equipment that you need to deal with it. There are a few other things that I like to bring along on set as a producer shooter as well, which just make my life easier, especially with smaller crews. Things like multi-tools or camera tools for rigging bits to cameras, or adding and removing tripod plates. Fabric tape and zip ties are also super useful on sets, although these are likely to be packed and brought along by the AC, but you can never have too many on set. Outside of the physical bits and apps, there are a few things that are really worth keeping on top of. Namely, being aware of what content is being produced is one of them. Using resources like Vimeo will help you find content that you like, allowing you to gain a better understanding where you want to be and where you want to head to creatively, and the types of content that is being produced in your field. This understanding will allow you to create your path to specialise in a certain area, for example, docus or dramas or commercials. When it comes to this though, find something you enjoy doing and something that you do well. You can always pivot later down the line to something different, and you'll likely take on a lot of the tools and skill set that you've learned onto your new path as well. The other thing to focus on is having a good idea and an understanding of what it takes to create a certain element or certain look in a production. This will help you to be realistic with what's possible both in the time, resources and budget that you have. So knowing how to create a certain look with cameras and lenses and lighting, the limitation of shooting outside based on what kit is required, these are all important things to think about before you steam ahead with your creative ideas. Also, when and where you need specific talent on a production and what crew you'll need to bring in to manage different elements of a production. Without this, you may end up going into the project blindly and ill-prepared, meaning your production and end product will suffer. In the reviewing stage, sites like Vimeo or Frame have review tools. These are really great for internal and external comments to be made directly onto the video. This allows both parties to be a lot more detailed in their feedback and will really help the editor out to produce exactly what's required. So wrapping things up, what does it actually take to be a producer? Well, it's a mix of being creative and forward-thinking whilst effectively utilising tools to keep you and your workflow and your projects organised. You need to be good with people, professional yet relatable, and someone that can easily instill confidence and calmness into any interviewee or talent. Adding in the camera operator side of things makes it a great role for anyone passionate about productions to get into, and for you to be able to push your creativity more on set. To sum it up, I really enjoy this role in productions, so if there is anything else that you want to know about this line of work, then do leave a comment below, and I'll be able to pick them up and get back to you. Thanks for watching.